Hello, I am Dr. Gordon, and I'd like to present to you just a quick lesson on adverbs of frequency. Words we use quite often, but many do not realize that they're referred to as adverbs of frequency. All right, here we go. Adverbs of frequency describe how often an action occurs or happens, and they help answer the question, how often? I ask you, how often do you do this? How often do you go here? And usually you would respond with an adverb of frequency in your sentence or in your response. And these are commonly used to express routine, habits, or repetition. Routine, something you do at a particular time, and you do it so often at that particular time. That's a routine. Habits, something you do often. You always do it. You have a tendency to do it. And repetition, all very similar, interconnected words. Repetition, something you repeated, a repeated action, something you do all the time. Okay? All right. So adverbs of frequency, they describe how often an action occurs, how often something happens, and it answers the question, how often? All right, let's move on. Now, here are common adverbs of frequency as percentages. Always, 100%. You do it all the time. You always do it. I always eat breakfast in the mornings. I always eat breakfast in the mornings. I eat breakfast all the time, 100% of the time. Every morning I eat breakfast. Then 80%, we would connect that with usually. Usually. I usually take the bus instead of driving. Most mornings, I take the bus. Not every morning, but most mornings. So I would say 80%. I usually. Often ranges 60 to 70%. I often speak with my friend in the morning. I often do it. Not usually, not 80%, not so often, but often enough to put it in a range of 60 to 70%. Often. I often speak with my friend in the morning. Sometimes, most people regard sometimes in the range of 40 to 50%, where I sometimes will stop and eat breakfast at a cafe instead of breakfast at home. And that's 50%, maybe 3 times out of the day, or maybe 10 days out of the month, sometimes 40 to 50%. And then rarely now, or it could be referred to as hardly ever. Rarely or hardly ever. 20 to 30%, where you do it, but you rarely do it. You do it one time for the month. You know, rarely. 20 to 30%. And you can use the phrase hardly ever, those two words, hardly ever. I hardly ever arrive late for work. I hardly ever, maybe one time out of the month, but not not three, four, 5 times. Hardly ever. And then the last percentage would be 0%. And everybody knows what that is. 0% means that you never, I never, she is never late for work. Okay, so we move from always at 100% all the way down to never 0%. And these are the common adverbs of frequency used daily by all of us. All right, placement of adverbs of frequency. Now, There are three ways we could place adverbs of frequency. One is before the main verb. Example is before us. She always arrives on time. She always arrives on time. Always, 100%. We could also put the adverb of frequency after the verb to be. I am always early. He is usually happy. They are often late for work. Okay? And you could also place the adverb of frequency between an auxiliary verb and the main verb. Between an auxiliary verb and the main verb. Here's an example. We have often seen him at the park. There it is, between have, auxiliary verb, and the main verb, seen. We have often seen him. Often is between have and seen. After the verb to be, he is verb to be usually. And before the main verb, she always arrives. Arrives in this sentence is the main verb. Always adverb of frequency just before the main verb. Very good. So three ways we can place the adverb of frequency. Here we go. Example sentences. Always. She always brushes her teeth before bed. Usually. They usually walk to school. Sometimes. I sometimes play soccer after work. That's true. Often. Dad often works late. Rarely. He rarely forgets his homework. And never. We never go out during storms. Okay, good practice. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more. I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye-bye.